I just need to record so we can upload it to YouTube. It's really struggling to do both at the moment, which is really annoying.
Yeah, man, I hate it when the tech is just not working.
I know.
And it's not us. We're doing the same thing.
I
Everything is the
know.
same. We haven't changed anything. It's not us. It's
But
broken.
at least we've got a plan B, so that's good.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. And I'll just have a look here what this little file here. Okay, it
So
just looks
I
good.
can see, Barrett's there.
Hey,
Hey,
Barrett.
yay, it's good to have you here.
Um,
LJ's here. Yay. Hi,
Yay, Angie.
LJ.
So I'm just trying to find us.
We're here. Look,
I
I say
feel
that.
disconnected from myself.
I'm here. You're many thousands of miles away.
Oh, why can't I? Oh, because okay, hang on. So today, while I'm trying to multitask here, it's always a bit weird.
Never do that. Never
Ah,
do
got
that.
us. I got us. I got us.
Good, good,
Awesome.
good.
Okay, so please let us know as you're joining. Let us know that you're here. It's always encouraging for us to see that we're not just talking into empty ether. Why is it ether?
I don't
Is
know.
there any ether? Anyway, and today's topic is out of the blue. And I wanted to start with, hey, Camilla, maybe with a question. Does your dog sometimes surprise you with a behavior that came out of the blue? Like, where did that come from? Just put a Y if that's happening, put a no if it isn't happening, just so we get an idea. If everybody says no, then we might as well change the topic.
Can we not put in like a pineapple emoji or something more exciting?
Oh, right. Okay. So here we go. Yes, occasionally, says Carmela. Okay,
Yeah.
so if your dog sometimes, does things seemingly out of the blue, you were really surprised you didn't see it coming, give us a pineapple emoji. Is there such a thing?
I don't know.
Maybe just give us a smiley.
Or a smiley.
Smiley face. There must be a pineapple. I want to see a pineapple
I don't know
emoji.
where pineapple suddenly came from.
I have an idea. There must be, because I can see. Oh, yeah, I got
You
one.
found it.
Yeah, I posted one. I want to see pineapple emojis, guys.
But these poor people. Oh yeah, there it is. I've got it.
Just be careful with those emojis. They can be naughty.
Yeah, I think this one's, I'm hoping, LJ, this one's safe.
I hope so too. My goodness, the hidden. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Barrett's
Okay,
got
Barrett
pineapple.
says,
Yay. Woohoo.
yeah, Julia. Oh, Barrett, excellent. Mm. And Barrett also explained, she says, yes, when there have been no reaction, and then suddenly she reacts. Can you stop
Exactly. And
doing
it
that?
feels like you've got a
Oh,
chilled, calm as a
God.
cucumber dog. And then all of a sudden, I'm
Yeah,
just double checking to make sure whether anybody is lost and don't know where to go.
he's tossing cookies here for the boys. Marion, thank you for the pineapple. That was a
Yeah.
good idea. The
Pineapples
pineapple.
everywhere. Right.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
awesome. Okay, so the thing is, sometimes we think it's out of the blue. Now I would like to see. Okay, LG goes in deep. You're so right, LG. So LG writes, if I'm very anxious and I'm not able to watch his body language carefully, his behavior will remind me to stay present. It's
That's
good.
a
You're a
really
good
good.
team, you and Bodhi. You're a good
You
team.
are. Absolutely.
Um, so I've lost my train of thought now. So the thing
Super
is,
wise.
uh, dogs are dogs are always communicating with us, right? But when we feel that something came out of the blue, sometimes like what LG just shared, sometimes we know we just haven't been paying attention. But I think very often we just missed the signs.
Yeah.
So can you give us an orange emoji
We
if
just go
you feel,
fruit today.
yeah, we're on fruit, we're fruitcakes. So
Yeah.
give us an orange emoji if you feel that your dog might be giving subtle signs, but you might be missing them. That's a loaded question. That's not a good question, Barbara. But anyway, who feels that they might be missing some signals? Got so many
LJ
winners.
does. Yeah. I'm going
Oh,
to put one in
LG.
as well, actually,
Yeah.
because I
Fruit.
think I sometimes
Oranges.
miss
Where are the
things.
oranges? Fruit. 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 Here we go. Orange. Waiting for the oranges.
No, you're no,
Okay,
yours is
well,
orange.
but oh, Barrett, yes. No, I think it's an orange, but you're right, it could be a peach. But I did the same one.
Yeah, me
Camila is
too.
like
We'll go with it.
5 oranges. Great mobile. I mean, that's good. That means that we picked a good topic. That's good. Thank you guys for playing along. So here's the thing. I mean, dogs are constantly communicating, right? They use their bodies to communicate, and we're so focused on language, on verbal language, written language, and intentional communication, right? As humans, that this whole thing with the body language, we're not that good at.
It's true, though, isn't it?
Oops, LG, I didn't know there was a hidden meaning to eggplants.
Yes, there is. Yes.
And Katrina found the chat. Yay!
Yay,
And the
Katrina!
oranges. Excellent.
Woo-hoo!
Excellent. Okay, guys, let's not use eggplants. Apparently, there's a hidden meaning to them. I
No.
didn't know that, LG. Thank you very much for that warning.
Yeah. Well, you'll know to be careful and not to do that and
Yeah,
be
we're safe. I hope we're safe here. No matter what people might. Anyway, let's not go down that route.
no, it's all going to
Okay.
get horribly wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, so and the thing with body language is who uses, okay, now I want apples. I want apples if you use your own body language intentionally, not with your dog, just generally. How aware are you of your own body language? Give us an apple if you feel you're quite aware of the body language, and a pear if you feel you're not. Camila is very, yeah, good, Camila. That's great. That's
Good for
great. So
you.
apples, if you very good about intentionally using your body language, and give us a pear if
I'm
you,
putting a pear.
I think I put both because it actually depends on
Sometimes
context.
I am. Like in when I'm intentionally training, I intentionally use body language quite a lot when working with my dogs. But
Okay.
generally, I don't think I'm very good at it. I don't think I'm very aware. I'm
What
not
about, I mean,
an
you're a
aware person.
teacher. Don't you use body language when you were teaching kids?
Yes, but that's kind of when you're in front of a class of children, you're on, you know?
Yeah,
But yeah,
but
in
you
a
see,
totally different headspace. But in my normal life, no, not a clue. You know?
mhm. Yeah,
So
I
I
hear you.
do when I sort of think about it, and when I'm being intentionally intentional. But the rest of the time, like if I'm just chatting now, God knows what subtle signs I'm giving off of, inner fury or whatever.
Okay, no, I totally understand. I get that. And I think that you put the finger on it. So for us, most of the time, I mean, we have unintentional body language, right? But very often we really have to be mindful and in a good headspace to really use it to consciously communicate with it.
Yeah.
Because normally we just, we just say stuff. And people are agreeing with you. So,
People.
um, and for the dogs, body language is just part of the package. That's just what they do.
Mm. Well, that's
And
that
so,
whole well, not that entire communication, but it's a good 95% of it. Do you know
yeah, I
what I
mean, what
mean? It's
else
an
is
awful
there?
lot.
Barking. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only other things of barking and growling are those vocalizations.
Yeah, but I mean, just because the vocalization is still kind of body
Yeah.
language, right?
But
I mean, it's a bit
the
like,
huge majority is body language.
yeah, because if you think about speech, they're the words. There's the actual proposition, the information that you're trying to bring across. But then there are the tones that you use, your intonation, the volume, and all those things. And I mean, dogs aren't barking words. They do all the other stuff around it, how it sounds and so anyway, let's before that becomes a stammer topic. You understand what I'm trying to get at. So dogs
Totally.
are totally in it. They live it. They embody body language. It's a funny tautology. Anyway, and because we are kind of wired differently, we have this strong focus on language, verbal and written language, not we miss a lot. How a dog stands, can mean
Mm.
things. So, and then also it's always contextual. So we always have to look at when it happens, in what context, what happened before that. So there is a lot of interpretive work that goes into understanding what they're saying. So it's not surprising that it's actually hard and that little signs can go amiss. But the in behaviorist terms, it's like responses, behavioral responses, right? Those are the things that a dog does in response to something that happens in the environment. And these behavioral responses, they can be intentional and they can also be unintentional, like just the it's not neurosystem, what's the word? Julia?
What?
I mean, like when they put their hackles up.
It's sort of like a nervous
Yeah,
system.
nervous system. That's the word I
What
was
is
looking.
going on behind you, Barbara? I've just got to ask. Someone's having a party.
Can you hear that?
Huh?
Was it squeaking?
No, I could just see a little black ball of fluff bouncing behind your chair.
Oh, right. I missed that. Yeah, he went into the puppy's pen and he got her squeaky ball out
He's
and he's playing with
partying.
it.
Hi,
Yeah, it's
Lorraine, you
partying.
found us. Oh, brilliant. I'm so pleased. Right, we're
Okay, so
talking in
we
general
need to move
terms.
on now. We've been like asking all these questions, but thank you guys for playing along. So a behavioral response can be anything from a subtle movement to bites. So we talking the intentional or the behavior stuff now, not the nervous system
Yeah,
response that the dog has little control over. Um, so, and what we must do is just pay more attention to what happens. So if your dog is suddenly appears distracted,
yeah,
especially if you've been, say, you're on a walk, you've been in this environment for a few minutes already, and all of a sudden your dog is distracted, whatever that looks like in your dog, sniffing a bit more intensely, looking somewhere, looking away from you, not wanting to sit when you ask them to sit, or something like that, it could absolutely be that that is an expression of their concern for some change that has happened in the surroundings. Of course, not every time a dog doesn't listen when we say sit, does it mean that you have to know your dog. You have to know what is normal for your dog. But sometimes it's really just that sort of how it manifests, that they are distracted in a distraction. The fact of being distracted can tell you a lot. Or another example is when I do cooperative care with my dogs, little twitches. Obviously, when they lean away, when they're trying to get away, that's a clear signal, right? That I don't want this. And sometimes with puppies or with young dogs, it can be really quick. You touch them, and then you touch the butt, and they like turn around and snap at you because
Yeah.
they, because they feel really strongly in that moment, and they haven't yet learned, to understand they're not going to get eaten just because you touch their backside. So it can be a bit of an overreaction that happens there. But they probably get a little tense when if you do like a touch gradient, if you just out of the blue touch their back, but if you do a bit of a touch gradient, you probably notice that they get a little more tense
Yeah.
the further you get towards the tail end, right? And I know with now something he does is he kicks a back leg. So obviously if I want to do paw care and he pulls a paw away, that it's pretty obvious. But sometimes I might do things, I'm not even touching him. I might just have the Dremel out. And there is like this kick of the, a back leg
And
kicks.
that's
And
the interesting thing, isn't it? Because quite often you kind of, if you do that sort of quite surface work on dog body language, sometimes it can look right. If you see X, then it means Y. And it's not that simple, is it?
no,
And
no,
that's the problem, is that
yeah.
different dogs will give you different signals for lots and lots of different reasons. And there are far more signals than we necessarily know about.
Yeah, and they can, and they're a bit like they can have multiple meanings,
Mm,
just like human language, right? A word can have multiple meanings, and it depends on how it's used, and it depends on how your dog is using their body in a particular context. That gets you clearer on what they're actually trying to communicate. And
definitely.
the context, so there we have to look at, so let's quickly unravel that a little bit. So where it happens, but also what happened just before this. And also things, it can be things like the weather, it can be things like the time of day, it can be, I think Elgie just asked something about context, actually. Oh no, she just said it's contextual. There you are. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely, LJ.
So,
Wise.
the same place can be a different context for the same dog, for your dog on different days. Sometimes the bucket can play in. Maybe there was lots of stuff happening that day, and now you're at the same serene place, but your dog is like on edge. Where was I going with this? What? Unpacking context.
Yes.
And then the other thing to know is that's also part of context is the history. So does it always happen when you're at this place, when you come from that direction, when you use this particular leash? It could even, here's something, it could even be what you wear. Not indirectly, something scary about it for your dog or something like that, but what you wear can influence how you feel.
Yeah. Mm.
And, your confidence, okay, a really stupid example, nobody would in their right mind try to walk their dog in high heels. But if you were wearing high heels or the wrong shoes on slippery weather or something, whereas if you've got good solid shoes on, you feel safe, your dog will also feel different.
It's like, if you're walking your dog, say you're out hiking with your dog and you're on like some really like loose ground or something or a steep bit or something, it's going to impact on your dog. Your dog's going to have a different response, aren't they, to what's
Mm.
going on?
Yeah. So I would like everyone, if you could put in the chat some really subtle signals that you've picked up over time that your dog uses to communicate that they're feeling a bit uneasy?
Hattie does. Can I share Hattie's? Because if you've seen
Sure.
everyone will have who's in the group will have seen photos of Hattie with her giant ears that go out like that. And what they do is one ear will just change angle very slightly. It's literally a little twitch like that. And that's her ears are very expressive. And I think it's because they're so big. And I wonder if it's because of muscles here that is making it just do that subtle like that. And it's only one.
Mm.
Super interesting. What's Dash's? I'm trying to think what his most subtle side is. His is with how he moves. It's that very slight tightening. So his stride will shorten slightly. That's a
Okay.
really one of his favorite subtle signs that things have changed for him.
And that is really hard to pick up.
Oh, bloody hell it is. You're telling me about it. I mean, he's quite lucky because of the shape he is. So, and if you had a short-legged dog, it would be really difficult to spot. But because he's quite rangy, you can notice in his shoulders when you get a slight shortening of that stride. He walks like, if you watch Star Wars,
I was going to say he walks like an Egyptian.
no, he walks like the AT-ATs in Star Wars, the big
Yeah, yeah,
stick
yeah,
with the
yeah, yeah.
two, and he looks like that when he walks. So, so that's why his movement is really, it's one of his most sort of defining factors. So it's why I notice it when he feels a little bit different because it just looks a bit off. Okay, so what have we got? Oh, we've got
But
low.
some good things, yeah.
Super. Okay.
So we
Oh,
have,
Carmela's just commented. One of her dogs kept sniffing the ground during an agility class and she got frustrated. And it turns out she had an arthritic ankle but no lameness. Sniffing was avoidance. That's absolutely great, to have noticed that and to have realized that.
mm.
Because,
And you're not alone there, Camila. It
yeah,
happens to so many
100%.
people. So don't beat yourself up. In
No,
fact,
definitely not.
yeah, you're way ahead now.
Show poor Bodhi. So Oki takes his leash in his mouth. It'd be interesting to think what if he does anything before that, if there are any
Mm,
like micro signals before that. Because for me, I'm thinking actually going to the effort of putting the leash in the mouth, that's kind of a little bit further. I don't know. I think
I
there must have
know.
been some steps that have got him there. So it'd be
Well,
interesting.
it's definitely a good thing, no matter what it is that you're noticing.
Oh, 100%.
It's a good idea to now keep your eyes peeled for that and then try to see something even before that.
Because of course, the quicker you can get there, the better.
Mm. LG, I like this. So LG's writing, Bodhi has a worried look to his eyes and mouth when he's
Yes.
unsure, and he'll put weight on the back end rather than reaching forward. So I
Oh,
love
yeah.
the second part of your statement. He'll put weight on the back end rather than reaching forward, because this is a clear body language description, right?
Love
Now,
that.
worried look to his eyes and mouth, that's your interpretation. I'm not saying you're wrong interpreting. But we cannot imagine in our heads now what that looks like. So what I'll encourage you to do is to think about, you can post it now or you can just check it next time you see it. What are the changes
What do
around
they
his
look
eyes
like?
and mouth
Mm.
that create that impression in you so that you can actually describe it in just descriptive.
Don't you just totally get what she's saying? Because sometimes you think, well, he just looks really worried, and you're not entirely sure why. And you
Yeah,
really have to hunt, don't you, for exactly what it is that you're seeing. That's
yeah.
a really interesting one, right? So
Mm.
Carmela, Hobbs' tail freezes for a millisecond before reaction, so you get a little bit of that stiffness. Lorraine says Penny perks her head up to be on alert, so she gets that kind of vigilant
Mhm.
look. Barrett pressing her ears to head. You have to know it to see it. Yep, I know. I know that. Is it a the ears sort of go, they almost fold backwards in on themselves. Is that sort of what you're looking for? Where are we? Katrina. Oh, it's a backward glance at her if she's walking ahead. And you have to acknowledge it. That doesn't surprise me with your dog. That's such a sight houndy thing to do. It's like, I demand to be acknowledged immediately. I am worried. You need to notice. That's so cute. Bettina, my dog looks intense on me and jumps up at me and wants hugs. So we hugs and then it's all okay. And then take a little bit of time off. And that's great that you're seeing that and giving a bit of time off. That's lovely. LJ's eyebrows go up and back and his lips do. So you sort of get that kind of, it's that bit, isn't it, of lip?
Mm.
Barrett says no, hanging fluffy ears. Okay, so you haven't got yeah,
Yeah. So there was another, oh goodness.
interesting. This is
What
so good. But
comment?
what it shows us really clearly is how individual it is for the
Yeah,
dogs, depending on their physiology,
yeah,
but also
exactly.
depending on who they are.
So I want to see all the comments and I only see they disappeared. Why can't I see all the comments? Because there's one I wanted to respond to and now I can't see it and read it.
Oh
It's
no.
before LG's, I think. I think it came after, but it's gone now. Um, it was from Bettina. Can you see Bettina's?
Yeah. Yes. Dog
And it
looks
was,
tense on me and
mm.
jumps at me and wants hugs. So he hugs and then it's all okay. Maybe take time off for the training or what we're doing.
So Bettina, I just noticed it because you mentioned training. And so everybody, I would encourage to the next few days, you want to really look, when do you notice that?
Mhm.
Right? Take note of it. What happened? Where was it? What happened just before? Try to see something a little bit earlier, but I want you to know when does it happen, right? I mean, you're aware of your dog's triggers. You guys have been here and so on. But hi, Shawnee. But the more you look for it, the more you'll see it.
Yeah.
And then if you can see something that happens just before it, something that your dog does just before it, and if you start looking for it, the more you see that, well, once you notice it, you will continue to see it. So those what I would encourage everybody to do. And now, if the situation, understanding when it happens, what happens before, what is the context of it. So what can you then do in anticipation of it? So it's easier in a training context. It's much easier because we have so much more control. That's why I wanted to use your example, Bettina. And I'm not, I might be completely misunderstanding. But if we sometimes training can feel like a little bit of pressure to our dogs. They feel we have an expectation. We feel we've been working on a skill. Yesterday, the dog, I mean, even the best of us can get a bit impatient or expect a little bit too much. So please don't feel that I'm criticizing anybody. The thing just is, what you want to notice is it a particular skill you're working on, or you asked a question and your dog has already said twice, I don't really know what you mean, or I can't do it. Okay, I'm interpreting now. What I mean by this is, you cue something or you're expecting something. The dog hasn't had reinforcement. You've held reinforcement twice in a row, perhaps before, or more. So any of these things, because that we can change. If it's always a particular behavior that's happening, we can rule out pain. Is it a complex thing? Or is the dog not warmed up enough or something? Failure in the weaves bowl for the agility folks. Was the dog warm enough to actually do it? Blah, 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 blah. But also, was our rate of reinforcement high enough? Do we maybe need a split for the thing that we're training? Stuff like that.
What do you mean by do we need a split?
Do we maybe break it down further for the dog?
Right, so
So
easier, smaller steps.
easier, smaller steps so that we create more opportunity to reinforce. So that is what we want to do. Positive, reward-based training means we splitting the behavior so small that the dog is, no, we need failure too, but on the whole, we want 80%,
We want a
between
lot of
80 and
success
90%
there, don't we?
success,
Yeah.
right? We don't want them always to go without. So these are just little tips. I'm not saying it might not at all be applicable. It was just what your comment associations that your comment triggered for me, Bettina. So thank you very much for it.
Yes.
Oh, Shawnee says, I love the article you've been writing. It makes me think and see. Excellent. Love it.
It's nice to be appreciated.
Yeah. So I will be a step before, see the signs before, so we can avoid the signals and have more positive signals. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. And there are two things there. The one is seeing a signal from the dog, an early signal. That's what we predominantly talk about here. But then also understanding when does it happen, and if we can predict that, and if we can make a change there, so either improve our training context or do something about where we walk, to make the dog more confident or not having to worry about something. And sometimes that can be as little as bringing the dog in closer, shortening the leash, having them walk on the other side of us,
Mm.
tiny little steps like that.
And that sort of answers Carmela's comment as well. So she's put, if my dog is struggling with his anxiety, I keep training more simple to be successful. Is this what you mean? And the answer is kind of, sort of. Um, it's not saying that you can't do the things that you want to do. You have to just do, a sit and a spin and things. It doesn't mean that. It just means the things that you're doing, just break it down into nice, more manageable pieces that your dog can be successful at, rather than trying to push everything on too quickly, and too far in one jump for them.
Yeah.
That
And
sort of
then and then anxiety is also, it also helps to unpack what anxiety means,
Mhm.
right? When and where, why is your dog anxious? Is it the environment where you train? Do they not want to fail? Some dogs are really soft
Yep.
and they can't handle it.
That's
If
like Dash. That's what Dash is like. I know we've talked about this before. He is a dog with a total fear of failure, and he's very pressure sensitive. So
mm,
for him, those tiny slices and actually doing the thing where you're not always moving forward,
yeah,
sometimes you're doing a little bit more, and then you might go back a step, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little more, back a bit. So you're kind of, making it so it's not always getting harder all the time for him. That's
okay.
really
Camila
important.
says he's been diagnosed with general anxiety disorder.
Oh, poor little
Okay.
sausage.
Yeah. So Camila, so you want to train in a environment where he feels absolutely safe. I mean, you know
Mhm.
these things. And then you want to break it down. You want to build confidence all the time. So exactly what Julia said. He can learn the most complex behaviors. You just have to make the steps nice and small. And every dog,
Yeah,
any dog and every dog can benefit from that. They can communicate and let us know when we can jump a couple steps,
yeah.
right? And then I just wanted, and that's the last thing I say about training. Katrina says, and it's super, I find a quick break during training can help, then go back and try again and reward even the smallest achievement.
Absolutely.
There is just a word of caution. So balance breaks, Susan Garrett calls them balance breaks, right? And they're totally important, super, super important. What you want to be cautious of, and again, it's just associate thoughts that are triggered by the comment. I'm not saying that's what's happening. What we don't want is to train until we either get a failure or we see a sign that our dog is uncomfortable and then put in the break. Right? We want to have our breaks part of the planning of our training session.
Mm. You want to
So many
have them before
reinforcements,
you get
then we
there.
have,
Mm.
yeah, because the training, the balance break is a reward. We don't want to necessarily reward the dog for saying, I don't feel like training anymore. Okay, well then let's do something else, kind of thing. Because we can create a behavior change and inadvertently teach our dogs to leave the training. And it, in a way that we've built that with the reinforcement, is not actually a true reflection of our dog not enjoying the training,
Mm,
right? Because you get what you reinforce. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway,
that's true.
uh, Mars says, yay! Recently, I've had great success on walks. I get Oki working, sitting down calm, fairly often with treats.
Well done, you.
Mars, raise the roof for Mars.
Well done, you.
I'm so, so glad. That's really awesome.
Shall we, oh, actually, shall we go?
Before we go to questions,
Oh,
let
yes.
us close the topic of body language because I'm not sure where the questions will take us. Because, guys, you all know now, no? You all should have had an email today. Was it today or yesterday? I can't remember now. Yesterday.
Yesterday.
About, yeah, it's Wednesday. So, an email yesterday about the body language 3-day challenge that's happening next week. Please, plums, guys. Put plums in the comments. Is plums? I hope plums are safe.
They might not be.
Scared now. Okay, let's not do plums. Let's do clover.
Clover. Oh, what's that
Clover,
going to be under? Hang on, I need to find
if you
it.
know that the challenge is happening, I think clover will come up if you just put in green.
Does it?
Clover. She's laughing. Okay, I'll do a clover. You can copy from me.
That's too hard. See, I'm not very clever with emojis. Yay, LJ's got one.
Yeah, everybody copy LG. So LG knows about our challenge. That's excellent.
Super
I obviously
dudes.
know about our challenge.
Because
If you
I always
don't
go,
know
like,
about a
when it was
challenge,
oranges, I could go to the fruit
Trina, awesome.
category.
Yes.
I don't know what category clover would be
Well, you
in.
can put an orange in if you don't know about it. How's that?
No, I'm
I don't know
determined.
what, but you can copy. You can just go, just take somebody's and then you can copy and paste it. Katrina double.
You make
She has
it
two
sound
phones.
so
Definitely.
simple.
Barrett's got a. Wait, what's going on? Do you not know about the challenge? Oh, Shawnee says, yes, I do, but works in the way. Well, there will be replays.
Yeah, yeah. And do see if you can, register for the challenge. I found it. Register for the challenge anyway.
So you get the emails.
Yeah, and then you'll get everything.
Barrett doesn't know about the challenge. Oh my goodness.
Barrett,
Aren't you getting our
brilliant.
emails?
It's so good that you're here. And anyone that's watching on replay and you don't know
Okay.
about it,
Can you
I'm
copy
delighted you're
the
here.
can you copy the link to the sign up
I am
page?
just doing that as we speak. So.
Right.
So
Barrett is
everybody that's
getting our
on
email.
now, you can, if you haven't already, you can follow the link and you can make sure that you're registered. Yes, still sign
Yeah, you still
up.
want to sign up because yeah, sign up.
Just make sure you get everything.
Yeah. There might be it's still all a little bit in flux. We have so many ideas, so I don't want to now say something and then we kind of change the things, but it's definitely good to sign up for it
Yeah.
because there might be stuff in the emails
And
that
if
you
you
won't get
can
otherwise.
get there live, that's going to be better. But we
Yeah,
do understand that's not always possible
yeah, we totally
for
do.
you. So,
It's
and in which case, that's what the replay's for.
yeah. So Barrett, make sure if you do that from then onwards, you will definitely get our emails. Okay, so the what we'll do is an absolute deep dive into body language over 3 days. So next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm never good. I'm not going to say the times because I'm going to get them wrong. Julia knows them. And they're also on the page. We will be live. It's like a masterclass. We'll have some stuff that we've prepared, and we're really diving deep with you guys into body language, the different signals, lots of subtle signals. guarantee you will all learn stuff and see stuff and find stuff that you didn't know beforehand. I
Full
promise you that.
disclosure here, because of the research that we've been doing behind the scenes preparing for this, I've learnt some new stuff
Oh
that
yeah.
we'll be
Oh
passing
yeah.
on.
So have I. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be super, super exciting. And especially the way we keep, Julie and I keep talking about it, like, and, really understanding your dog's dialect. I mean, all dogs speak dog, right? But they
And
all
sorry,
have
can I just
different,
interrupt and say, Shawnee, thank you for signing up.
excellent
I'm on there so
pronunciation.
I can see if people are signing up. Yay! You're in.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. So Debbie asked a question,
Great.
and let's reward Debbie for being on live. I know um Lorraine's also here. But let's quickly reply to Debbie's and then we can go into the questions.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the challenge. And as Julia said, make sure you get there live. It's we're going to make it worth your while.
And do, if you
Right?
can, because I've put the link in there to sign up for the challenge, do feel free to share that far and wide in
Oh yeah,
any
please
dog
do.
groups you're in, on your personal pages, with friends that you know that you think might be interested. Share far and wide, the more the merrier.
We really want lots,
Mm.
lots and lots and lots of. Yeah, absolutely, LG. Please do share the link as
Please.
far and as wide as you can because it comes up over and over and over and over, right? When we talk about reactivity and how to best help our dogs, I know there's a bunch of techniques and there's lots of good stuff, but ultimately, it's absolutely crucial that we can read our dogs. And
And
that is a skill,
yeah. And
that's
when
work
you
that we
look,
need to do.
you look
And there's
out there, there's not a huge amount out there
isn't.
for people. There's
No.
not that many resources that go
So,
into any kind of
and you
depth.
see the same kind of stuff repeated over and over and over
Exactly.
and over, and it's just that it's not always helpful for everyone. So, because every dog is different and every breed type has their idiosyncrasies. How's that for the German using a big
That's very
word?
good. I'm very proud of you.
Anyway, let's go and do so we'll look forward to doing this. And I'm gonna just have we want to reply to
I was
Debbie.
going to say we're going to reply to Debbie first.
All
Sorry,
over the
Debbie.
place again.
We got distracted. It happened.
Ándale, ándale. Speedy Gonzalez. Okay. Do you want to read it or shall I read it?
I'll read it, no problem. So, Debbie has her dog Everest. Everest is reactive but not aggressive. We took a long break from everything, good, and are slowly working the world back in. He's doing really well. Went into a hardware store that we've been in several times and he was doing great. I didn't pick up on any stress signals. And then a man came around the corner quickly and talking loudly but friendly. My dog immediately started barking. I took him away quickly. We left the building easily. When do you know when they're ready to progress? I thought he was. Oh, Debbie, you poor
And he
thing.
So
Oh,
I
I
love,
feel for you.
first of all, I just want to say, Debbie, you are amazing.
Yeah, you
So
tell
I
me.
really love it. Like, taking a break, giving Everest really time to, get his hormones sorted and all, and have a nice reset. And then now to like make his world bigger for him. So this is really fabulous. And I'm so happy that you say he's doing really well. And it's also great that you been to this hardware store several times. You're not just hardware store, done it and ticked it. Because as we said a little bit earlier, the same environment, the same context can suddenly change drastically, which did in this case,
Yeah.
right? With the guy coming around the corner. Now, the thing is, ultimately it's about, do we have any rebooters on your life right now?
Trina was here
Anybody here?
before.
And Katrina, yeah. How to measure progress, right?
Hmm.
One key thing of measuring progress when you're working through reactivity. How do you measure? It's a question for everyone. Just pop it in there. How do you measure progress? How do you know that your dog is progressing? that what you're doing is working, because that's what it feels like. Debbie, you probably walked out of there feeling a bit deflated and
Yeah. You'd
like,
feel, I
oh,
thought we were doing really well,
yeah,
and
no,
now I
back at square
realize it's
one.
rubbish. Yeah.
Because you see, we cannot prepare our dogs for everything. It's impossible. And they do not contextualize. They do not generalize. They contextualize big time. They're not generalizing very well, right? And just like us, they have good days and they have bad days. So something like that happening. Guys, if you don't know how to measure progress, give us a pair.
Another pair. Okay.
I know. I mean, I'm just randomly,
Barbara's
I
running
want
out
to
of
stay
fruit.
safe. I'm into fruit, yeah. Give
Yeah.
us a pair if you're not sure how to measure your dog's progress. Come on.
Suggestion next time we could go for a watermelon.
Okay, here's a lot. Okay, yeah, what how can I forget? Sharon, I beg forgiveness. Okay. Um, starts to relax in situations that previously bothered him.
Mhm.
Brilliant, yeah.
Mhm. Wonderful.
Lorraine says, oh, brilliant, Lorraine. One thing I look for is when Penny does not react as strongly so quickly. So we have the intensity of the reaction and how quickly it's happening. Parrot says, for me, I just have to trust you, so I can try.
I think we can relate to that, yes.
Yeah, we can all relate to that. And Maris, thank you for the pair, Maris.
Thank
I
you.
love it. You're playing along. I love it. I love it. Okay, Katrina, that the same stimulus gives a different, less response. Okay, the intensity, yes, absolutely. We have a favorite cafe we go to now. Freya sat toes down on her mat and doesn't respond to other dogs or people passing by. Brilliant.
Oh, Carmela's just put a
Recovery
really good one.
improves.
Yes.
Raise the
Love
roof
it.
for Carmela.
Gold
Yay.
star.
That's what so all the other things are absolutely correct, but they're kind of the big thing that everybody keeps looking for. And we cannot prepare our dogs for everything and every situation. They will get a fright
Yeah,
every now and then, right?
absolutely.
I get a fright every now and then. And sometimes I might jump and go, what the, you know, but then how quickly do I? How quickly do we recover? How quickly is our dog able, to like, oh, okay, it was just a dude, right? That is the key. So if you had, you said you were able to just calmly leave the place, your dog wasn't totally worked up. You know what it used to be like? What was the worst thing that ever happened? What was that like? How did you have to drag your dog out of the situation? Right? That sort of thing. So if you just go into another aisle, hey, don't worry about it, and apologize, you're able to say, sorry, guy, young dog or whatever, and you walk out and your dog like, okay, let's go someplace else. That's great. That's great. We can help our dogs be more confident. We can get them used to things. We can try and change their emotional responses to certain triggers, but we cannot change who they are.
The in that the original question, Debbie says that they left the building easily. So that
Exactly.
suggests there was a nice quick
Yeah.
recovery time.
Yeah.
And that is what is showing that you've actually been making some really, really good progress. It was just super unfortunate that you were in that hardware store and that person who was obviously quite a kind of, animated, loud person, and there could be all sorts of other things that could have, triggered your dog happened to pop up out of the blue, which that sort of thing scares me, I'll be honest with you. So it's not
Yeah, absolutely.
surprising.
And again, I'm so happy for all these comments from Maris. She says, I've noticed Oak is recovering much more quickly with triggers like bikes and joggers. That's big, big, big.
Can I just give a big up to Marion and to Lorraine who've just signed up for the Learn to Speak Dog Challenge?
Hey, excellent.
You're on
Great
the
guy.
team.
Okay, dokes. So now let's have a look. We've got more questions.
We do have a couple. We've got Lorraine's question, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she's
Absolutely.
actually on. So should we do that one first?
Yeah, let's.
Because we know she's here.
Uh-huh.
Where
And
are they? Oh,
it's already.
Carmela's here on as well. So both the
Oh,
people with the
excellent.
questions
Okay, cool.
are here. So we need to do both of them. Even if we run out of time, we'll carry on until we've
Yeah, yeah, will be definitely. So
please do.
Camilla's, shall we Camila, I think I did post a counter question, like what difference would it make for you? But I haven't actually been back in the group to see if you replied. So maybe we'll do Lorraine's question and you think about or copy that response because I'd be curious to know what difference would it make to you to know whether it's anxiety, fear, or frustration. Okay, so shall I read Lorraine's and
Yeah,
then
feel free.
okay. So our 25-pound, 11 kilo, 7-year-old rescue dog Penny is dog and small human reactive. Small human, I guess, is kids. We
Yeah.
know how to manage her environment. That is all the on-leash tricks to how to avoid, U-turn, hide from other dogs, not taking her to places where we know other dogs will be present, never allowing her to be around children, etc. We have done group manners classes, and these are okay with the dogs screened off from each other. We occasionally board her at a kennel that works with reactive dogs, and the staff both train her and wisely supervise her playtime with other dogs. From time to time, we give her and ourselves refresher on leash training by offering treats when she's about to be triggered. More difficult with gloves on in these colder days. Oh, yeah, I hate that. Oh.
I use
Glad to
fingerless
be back
gloves.
in Namibia. Okay, we are treating her for anxiety, fluoxetine and adaptyl pheromone calming diffuser, herbal supplements, and at home she's chill, sweet, and content. All of that said, given the fear trigger in proximity to another dog, she always wants to run toward the other dog, snarling, barking, lunging, which we can curtail when on leash.
I
What
think
more
my
can we
I've got
do?
a question actually that's just
Yeah.
popped into my head, and that is, do you get the same reaction when she's off leash? So, or do you not have her off leash? So I'm just thinking because you said, which I only really clicked when you read it out loud, Barbara,
Mm.
that she wants to run towards the other dog, snarling, barking, lunging, and you can curtail it when on leash. So is she still, when she's off leash, running towards the other dog, or not? So that would be my first question. Um, I suppose the next thing to look at is it's very easy, isn't it? Is to say that my dog is like, or to be told, actually, it's usually what we're told, isn't it? This dog is like X. This
Mm.
dog is reactive. This dog is anxious. This dog is aggressive, whatever. And we do, as people, like to label our dogs. And what that can sometimes do is put them in a slightly fixed framework. So it's saying, if your dog is has this label, then this is what we do. And as we were kind of alluding to before with the body language, it's actually not quite that straightforward, because there's so much individual differences between dogs, which mean there isn't really any fixed solution that's always going to work. Whether that be the drugs or the supplements, or even in most cases, the training, getting that understanding of your dog, what your dog's reaction looks like, the rest of how your dog behaves, and getting and you as well. I mean, you as part of the picture is really important, and bringing that whole picture get together to see how we can actually look at it. So she's been, she's obviously been at a kennel that works with reactive dogs. The staff have trained her, and that kind of stuff. Um, but that's not going to be a solution for you because those people, A, don't know the dog as well as don't know her as well as you do. And secondly, they're not with her in the real life, in the real world, in those real scenarios. And they're not reacting to life that's happening. It's a very contained environment, really. And it's not really helping you either as a human. Um, So, I mean, that was my first thoughts on that. What do you think?
So Lorraine replied to your question.
Ah, lovely.
So
I'm just going down the replies. Yes, she does will run towards other dogs with when off leash. And is she when she's running towards them when she's off leash? Are you still getting that barking, snarly, growly, lungy type of behavior, or is it more? Because to me, what she's doing, what it sounds like, if she's doing that even on leash, she's worked out that if I do that and I run at things, they go away. So that's kind of, it's become her coping strategy. Do you see what I mean? Yeah.
that is if she runs up to the dogs and barks, lungy.
Exactly. Because if
Uh-huh.
she's gone into that real anxious fear, that real anxious state, the typical response, isn't it, if they're off leash is to create space by moving away. So if when they're off leash, they're still doing that running towards, then that's a real kind of ingrained, this is my coping strategy. That's a learned strategy to deal with that fear, to make it feel better for her.
Well, it's not inappropriate, Lorraine, as much as it's, there's a lot of judgment in calling
Mm,
it inappropriate. It is dogs do what they do, right?
of course they do, exactly.
Um, they don't have but it is definitely unwanted.
Yeah,
And then can this strategy be unlearned? So it's not so much about learning, but about changing how she feels in those situations.
exactly.
So the thing is, when our dogs overreact or have coping strategies that we don't like, then we cannot teach them this is how you behave in this situation, because they cannot, that would be asking them to suppress their emotion. So what you want is to create a different history and a different emotional response in certain situations. Now, the very first step to get there is to avoid it happening under at all costs. So something to ask is, how often does this happen? How often does she pull, or does she see other dogs and react strongly to that? And if
Because the
that is
more she
something that
does it, the more she
happens,
will. Yeah.
yeah, because it's building up a history and it becomes the go-to thing. And that's just what I do. This is just what I do. And so that's the first thing, not triggering her. The other thing is that I might be misreading, because it's really difficult, like communicating, like, it's just like comments and things like that. But something that is really important is that when you work with her on leash, away from triggers, and then later with milder triggers, at a distance. Yeah, so that's really good. So Lorraine says she seldom puts her in this environment, be avoid if possible. So that's really good, but
Right.
it could be that you might not be able to go for walks in areas where there's even a chance of encountering dogs, right? But that is something you need to decide. It's just a numbers game. Just, sit down with family and just write down, when was the last time it happened? How often does it happen every week? Does it happen once a month? Does it happen every day? Once a week, once on a walk, 5 times on a walk, things like that. So that gives you an idea of the frequency, and you definitely cannot work. Nothing that you try will work if it's every day for sure, but even once a week can be too much.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the one thing. And then the other thing is, in order to change how she feels, you've got to have reinforcement on you. So that could be food, it can be a toy, it can be activities, anything that she really, really loves that makes her feel good. about something, and you have to have that and use that less than once a week. Okay, that's good. Um, you have to have that with you and have to use that away from triggers and build behaviors away from the triggers that you want to see. And the more easy those things are, the better. There's a bunch of strategies. We did talk about this. Can you remember, Julia? We had a live where we talked about playing your favorite games, little tricks, things like,
We did, didn't we?
um, Falky and I love to do the high five game.
We do lots of pause up,
Yeah, but it could be
those kind of
anything.
things. But yeah,
Well,
it's
there
whatever
was
your
a
dog
live where we
finds.
talked about that, and I
Yeah,
can't remember now which one it was. If anybody has an idea,
I'm just seeing if
let
I
us
can
know.
find it. But if you can find behaviors, and this is the thing, is to
Yeah,
find behaviors that your dogs find
yeah. So
empowering. So I find with Dash, for example, pause up, it's a power pose for him. You know, he feels confident and good about himself. And it's like with Falky, with his high fives, that's something that's like, this is brilliant. I love it. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so look, I'm now, because I'm opened that can of worms earlier, I'm not saying, okay, there's a lot of interpretation in that when we talk about power poses, but I don't want to negate that that's the case. The other side of the more simplistic side of why these little games work is that our dogs are focusing on something different. So we're playing games with them that are very familiar. The pattern games we talked about last week, that is something that you can use, but I really like things like hand targets, middle, RZ, and you practice them on your walks and you practice them at home. Yeah, it has to be games that your dog can do like this, right? And and then you want to do that at a distance. What you cannot do is, we've talked about this many times, train in the situation. LG always says you train for the situation, not in the situation.
Absolutely.
So that is my little pet peeve about engage, disengage. It comes in variations. It's different names. Julia has a really cool none of your business game, which is, you could say it's very similar, but she doesn't use these terms because people get
Got a
so
key extra
tempted.
piece, hasn't it?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
people get so tempted to play that stuff. The same with look at that in the face of a trigger. Those are all good techniques. Don't get me wrong, right? But the thing is, we cannot help, we cannot teach the dog anything in the moment where they're feeling triggered.
Mm.
Have to do that outside of that, and then we have to get far enough away that our dogs can respond. If the dog can't give you a hand target or whatever your favorite game is, then you're too close to the trigger, so you have to go. So and it can also not withhold reinforcement and only give them reinforcement when they can disengage, right? I'm not saying stuff them with cookies. What I'm saying is, when the dog can't disengage, we have to get out of there, be too
We've got
close.
to make more space if
Yeah.
we're
And
constantly
the
looking at them.
problem And the problem on walks is that we cannot control the environment, and we might, all of us, um, have experiences, memories. It happens to all of us that we suddenly find ourselves trapped, close to another dog, and no way of escape. Right. And that's a nightmare. And there are strategies for that. We're not going to talk about that now. We're already over time.
Yeah, we'll
But
worry about that
you
another
want
day.
to actually avoid this at all cost.
Yeah.
So always,
So
always choose your routes wisely so that when there is a dog, that there's enough space for you to get distance. Do not use it as a training opportunity. Okay, now let's see if you can focus on me as we go past, that kind of a thing. Because there's no point.
So, in terms of what you were saying about what you're doing with your treats, and you're doing sort of the engage, disengage, and the reward for looking at you. So, what I would do is I would just shift that a little bit sideways. So instead of doing that, give her a little bit more space so that she's at a comfortable distance. And then at that space, actually get her doing stuff. Get her doing stuff that she knows that feels familiar so that she can get this click in her head that goes, oh, yes, I know this one. I'm cool. It helps give her that safe space and that safety. by giving her something to do that she understands and she knows and getting her thinking. The other question you asked was what is RZ? So RZ, it's short for reinforcement zone, which is the Susan Garrett game. And it's just all about having your dog sitting next to you and rewarding you in that, she calls the reinforcement zone, which is the
Heel
place you want your
position.
dog to be most of the time, or a
Yeah,
lot of the time.
most people would refer, or lots of people would, most people I think now call it reinforcement zone, but old-fashioned term would be heel position, or an
Yeah,
obedience term would be heel position, except that reinforcement zone is on either side of you,
both sides. Yeah, it's not just
you
one.
know. We also have a loose leash walking online course thingamabob where we do lots, but we have lots and lots and lots of games for walks. I don't know if anybody is here that's been through the course. You could put a note if you liked it.
The walks
Maybe
without
that might
worry.
be something. That's walks without worry. Sorry, I
Yeah,
should have said.
we'll
Yeah.
be probably
Yeah.
opening that up again in the next
Yeah, what I was
month or
going to
two,
say
isn't
is
it?
at
Yeah.
any time, yeah, anytime any of you feel, oh, actually, maybe that's something I need, let us know. We can always make
I'll
something happen
sneak you
for
in.
you. Yeah.
I'll let her know.
Um,
So, Carmela,
okay.
where were we?
Yes, Pamela.
Yeah, brilliant. So I
Uh,
hope that's helpful, Lorraine. And do keep us up to date with how you get on. We'd love to
yeah.
hear how Penny's getting on.
Yeah. So
LJ says,
AZ also happens in you start in a sit, but then you walk, right?
yeah. And LJ's talking about direction changes. I
Yeah.
really like a direction change because
Yeah.
it means your dog also is thinking, I've got to keep an eye on her.
Yeah.
She's really unpredictable. She might do something weird. So it can help with that focus and that proximity and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
as well. But it does, as you say, it prepares. And I do another game, an emergency exit game, but which is
Yeah. Yeah.
that's in the
That's
book
when
without
you
worry, actually, the emergency exit, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah. So is the quick direction changes.
Yeah.
Anything. Anyway, let's poor Camila. Because she said she did reply to my
I'm
question of
sure you probably
why she
have. I'm
said
just
that.
scrolling up now to find it.
And she did post it here. She
Oh,
did
right.
put it here that but I can't oh
Let's have a
man.
look.
Um
Let's have a
I don't
look.
know why I can't see comments. It's very
Can you
annoying.
not? That's really annoying,
Well,
isn't
I
it?
see, but I only see like five, and there's no way in this thing that I can scroll and see more.
I'm
Oh,
just going on my phone to help me. Okay, so she's real. I think training techniques are similar. So calm, slow training, giving space, etc. However, I might approach some things in a different way. For example, if my dog were to be frustrated because he wants to play with other dogs, then my goal would be to get him to a point where he could play with them in a calm manner. My goal with my own anxious dog who doesn't want to engage is to teach him that he can walk away and doesn't have to engage. And she's thought, oh, I feel like I'm in an exam now. Sorry, Carmela.
is that from her post in the where the original question was? Because I
Yeah,
think she
yeah.
also posted something here. Monica is actually asking very similar. Does it matter whether the reactivity is frustration related because my golden retriever wants to go and play or say hello and pulls like crazy?
I mean, if you think about it, um, when you've got I mean, frustration is quite a complex emotion to unpick because it can be for lots of different reasons. It could be I want to go there because I'm super duper excited, or it can be I'm frustrated because I can't get to a place that I want to be because of that kind of worrying thing. But let's look at the context that you've talked about, where it's about your dog wants to go and play versus a dog that's reactive in, that kind of I I'm worried and I'm trying to create space. In both scenarios, you have heightened arousal levels, and that's crucial. The only difference is, and the reason I'm doing this and this is because I've got a little graph that's in my head. And the only difference is whether you've got that positive or negative emotion. But the arousal is high. And I'm sure you've seen what can happen when you've got a dog that is super duper excited. It doesn't take an awful lot to go wrong to flip that into fear. Whereas with both scenarios, If you are aiming to get to calm, which is a lower arousal and a positive feeling, then that's about as far away from fear as you can get, which is kind of what we want. So I suppose that that's where I was going to start anyway,
Well, why don't you draw that thing?
because I've got my camera on the wrong way up. Yeah, okay, I can do.
And while you're drawing, I'll talk about how can you tell.
Yes, please do. And I
Um,
will unmirror. I hate doing
and
that.
my
When you flip yourself round, you always look really weird, don't you? Because I'm the wrong way around. Okay. I'll draw, you talk.
and the short answer is it's kind of difficult. So I know that I wasn't sure, I can't remember now whether it was in response to your post. People say body language,
I think
but
that
the
was in
thing is,
response to Lorraine's post, actually.
yeah, okay, might be, I can't remember now. Anyway, but the thing is, remember when we talked about the 4 Fs with the flight, fight, response, and the fool, and so on? So, a dog can be worried, or maybe fearful, um, and still go forward and use distance decreasing behavior. So getting closer to the thing, right? Although they're afraid of it or worried about it. And so it's not always easy to say, oh, okay, if they ears back and they're crouching and they're hiding, yeah, well, then we know the dog is fearful, right? But sometimes the dog goes forward because he has a more natural fight response to something that he's fearful of, or plays the fool, right? Which really looks like, oh, the typical, we always stereotype the Goldens, but like looks really happy, but a dog is actually at a heightened arousal level and it's all stress. And ultimately, when it comes to dog behavior, I think we want to look at what's the dog actively doing and what is it that we want. What kind of behavior do we want instead of that? And then think about how can we change that, right? So what is causing behavior? So and what is the context? So when Julia was asking Lorraine the questions about on leash versus off leash behavior, if a dog is lungy and barky, predominantly when they're on leash, there is often a frustration element, or at least started that way, right? That barrier frustration. They just couldn't get to something they wanted to get to. But it can turn into something else if then in the process, aversive methods have been used to correct that dog's behavior. And now we have a whole mix of emotions in the picture. So ultimately, I think you want to understand the context as much as possible, and then, as you said, and then you can address the stress. So in the way, what I'm trying to say is whether for us, I think it makes more of a difference to us. That's also why I asked that question. When we know that our dog is fearful, we tend to be more compassionate. I'm not saying you are not compassionate with a frustrated dog. I'm not saying that. But it's much easier to be compassionate when we acknowledge something as fear than if you have a frustrated greeter, and we can get more impatient in our heads anyway. The connotations. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything. But in the end, it's all stress, right? And if we just regard it as that and then see, okay, this is the stress response that my dog is showing. Here we have the triggers and the context that create that kind of stress response. What can we do first to change the context and the triggers so that our dog doesn't have to experience it? What alternative behavior would we like to see in an ideal scenario that we have to train away from whatever is triggering the stress response? Right? And then we need to do exposure to the stress response and desensitization in really small doses away, at a distance and at an intensity that the dog can actually respond, to our training still and is not triggered. So, and then if you analyze it like that, then it almost doesn't really matter. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Because at the end of the day, you want to be there.
Exactly.
That's where you want to be, regardless
Yeah.
of where you are. It's
Yeah.
about achieving
And
that.
the method is the same,
Yes.
right? You look at what's triggering it. I just think that it's more important to us to know because we are into labeling and because we all are as people because we have language, right? And we want to be able to say my dog is this, you know, afraid or frustrated or whatnot. I don't know. Is this at all helpful or have I opened a can of worms and made it more complex and more horrible and
No, I think it's yeah, I think we're good. Right. We've gone way over.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, the penny has dropped. Yay! Ah! Oh, would I
Oh,
mind putting my diagram on the page? I'll tell you what, I'll take a photo of it now. Give me a sec. And I will.
oh, thank you, LG. LG is saying you guys are going to love the challenge. I can't wait. I always learn so much and feel so empowered by Barbara and Julia's courses. Oh, LG, thank you so much for that. You are
What
amazing.
I'll do, Carmela, is I will put the diagram under your post, just so that you know where it is, because I think that will make it easy for you to find. I'll do that now before I forget, because otherwise I will. And if I sleep, it's
Hey, Teresa. Thanks for
game
that. Thank
over.
you. And thanks, yeah, Lorraine says very helpful, especially you saying that in the end it's all stress, and that's what we need to work on. Yeah,
That's so
I
key, isn't
think
it?
something that we will talk about more in the challenge in the context of body language is the the neutral lens, how to get better at describing what we see rather than falling into the trap of interpretation. We can mislead ourselves, right?
And it is, you hear things. If X, then they're frustrated. If Y, then they're fearful. But it's not always true.
It's not that
And
simplistic.
that's the trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. Right.
Right, let's wrap it up. Thank you guys for staying on so long. Sorry, I got a bit carried away
We like to
with the
talk at the end
fruit
of the
in
day,
the
don't we?
beginning.
But you know what? Most people have stuck with it.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you.
Legends.
It's like it's a tightrope, of kind of what can we do to have you more involved because we want to have conversations and not just this thing. But then when somebody comes on, I know that for myself, when I watch things on replay, I'm like, just get to the nuggets, I want
Yes, stop
it's a
wittering.
different experience on replay, and we're doing this for the live. So we're doing this for you guys that are here on with us. And it's the same next week. So if you can come and join us,
Yeah,
we
you're
make it
always
worth
going
your
to get
while.
more out of it if you can join us.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. And we might, after the challenge, there might be some other incentives for joining us live.
Yeah, and I'm laughing because LJ put a whole fruit salad up. Thank you. Lorraine says she never did find the clover. And Katrina says Freya is waiting for her supper. Fish pie is in the open.
Oh, go on,
Is that fish pie
Freya.
for you or for Freya? Oh my goodness.
Or
But mine
both.
are also, I can hear Stevie vocalizing in her crate, which
Just
is very
don't. If Freya is having fish pie, don't tell my two. They'll be livid.
okay. I need to take Stevie out.
Yeah, I need to get gone. Right.
Thanks for being here with us
It was
and
great this
all your
evening.
great questions.
We'll
And
see you in the challenge next week. Really looking
yeah.
forward to it. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.